Well, everyone, I have 10:40. We said we would start back at 10:40. So hope everyone is with us. I know we all needed a second there to stretch. We had a good general session this morning. I once again want to thank our speakers that got us started today. And now our next session will be focused on the Rotary Foundation. We're very fortunate in our district to have past District Governor Paula Matthews that chairs the Rotary Foundation for our district and has put together a program for us over the next couple of hours from now until lunch that will help us get ready for our year of service with our foundation chairs and our president-elects. So Paula, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Woohoo! Thank you. This is going to be great. And I'm so happy that we had Audley and Terry before us because I kept making notes of everything they said. Oh, and I forgot, Paul Walter, you did the first one. But you know, somebody would call me and I have the phone off. So you made the first point about the foundation and the annual fund and the district grants and all of that. And then Audley talked about membership. And one of the most important things he talked about, now hear me. Number one reason people join Rotary is local community service. Well, local community service is our foundation, and every one of you, club presidents, foundation chairs, member, whoever you are, remember that, and remember these district grants that you're applying for now, and how important that is totally for community service. The number one reason people join Rotary. And following me is going to be the public image session. And you can do all the good in the world, but if you don't tell somebody, it's not going to benefit our members or our clubs. So I was so excited to hear about that. And then there's several things that Terry said. Amazon Smile, remember that. You can direct those funds to the Rotary Foundation, and we're on that list. He also talked about giving stock, highly appreciated stock. Rotary Foundation can do that too. So those kinds of things we can talk about, you can do, and there are numerous other things that came about. So we're going to talk about various kinds of things. And also, I'm so excited. I just checked. First thing I checked this morning was the monthly contribution report. Sometimes we refer to that as the MCR. You as club president and you as foundation chair have access to that on a daily. You can get to it every day if you want to. You won't want to, but you can. However, you're not going to get to it if you don't sign up for My Rotary. So if you want to know the most current information, sign up on My Rotary. It's been there for years, but we have to make this kind of plea all the time. So, presidents, this is my one request. Well, actually, it's not going to be my one request. It's just my first. My first request is make sure you identify your foundation chair on My Rotary. You know how you go in? I'm sure all your presidents already on My Rotary, right, Paul? Well, we can find out who's not on there because I got access to the list. So make sure you make your foundation chair, denote them on My Rotary so they can have access to those reports. It's very important, and we'll be following up on that. Second thing, president-elects. I also have lists of who has given to the Rotary Foundation, presidents, president-elects, and foundation chairs. So here's what I'd ask you to do. After July 1, go into My Rotary and make a contribution in your name to the Rotary Foundation. make sure you check share, because that way the money, half the money comes back to the foundation or to the annual fund, which it comes back to us as DDF for us to spend on our district grants and those kinds of things. So we'll be looking at those kinds of things. Just to let you know, we are at 90.2% of goal so far this year. That's as of today. So we've got a little bit more that we need to give. And I'm going to give you some dates. This just came out from the foundation. Checks must be postmarked. The envelope must be postmarked by June 30th. And the date written on the check must be no later than 30 June. So date those checks before June 30th and send them in. I would send them in as soon as possible, and I'll tell you why. Because with the pandemic and continuing, Rotary staff are working remotely. They go in to check the lockbox once a week, and then those checks are processed. Your checks are not going to be, you're not going to be given credit for checks until they're actually physically processed. You can use online giving. I don't know how many of you have done that, but clubs can do that. Club treasurers have access to do that, and that is the quickest way to do that. You just need to make sure that you denote that you're giving that to the annual fund, or if it's something else, polio or endowment, you just need to denote that. If you're using a credit card, you can go through Rotary.org. You can do wire transfers. And this one, I didn't realize you can't even call with your credit card. And call the Rotary Support Center at 1-866-976-8279. 1-866-976-8279. So there are various ways to get those last contributions in, and we appreciate that. Now, also, you're going to be hearing today from one of the top 3 clubs in our district in per capita giving, but I want to tell you about the other 2. The Columbia Capital Club has blown it out of the park this year. Their per capita is $1,151.28. And the major way they got there this year was by a gift that was given to one of their members who passed away during this year. It was a bequest gift that went to the annual fund. Number 2, and I saw Kay Oldhauser on here, and she's going to make sure I get this right. Sunset, Sumter Sunrise, I should say. Sumter Sunrise, usually they're very high up on the per capita giving. They're at $481.88. And they have, the third one is Little River. Little River is at $392.43. And you're going to hear from Marty Richardson later on from that club to tell you how they do this every year. So look forward to that. Now, I want to thank you. We've gone over the facts and figures, but none of this would be possible if it weren't for the gifts that your members, our members, give to the Rotary Foundation. And in particular, right now, we're talking about the annual fund, because funds that go to the annual fund come back to us in 3 years to spend on things like the district grants. 160,000 went there this year. Like polio, district designated funds this year, 100,000 went to polio. That is in addition to what your members gave at $35 per member. Also, we funded 2 global scholars. That was another $50,000. And then we've done grants. Currently, we have I have so much paper here. Currently, we have several global grants. We have a club that is helping sponsor upgrading pediatric respiratory facility in India. The 5 Points Club is helping with that. We have the Rotary Health Days in Nigeria, which we've given $4,000. Those are to help with vaccinations. We have a current sanitation project in Peru. We've been working there since around 2013 on water and sanitation. And then we have a labor and delivery medical equipment program we've helped sponsor in Ghana. So we're not only doing work here in our district, but we're also doing work throughout this world. And all of that is made possible with the contributions that you have given. So after, I have scheduled Mandy Schuler from Kingstree, and then I have Drew Hansen, who's doing our global grants scheduled. However, I mentioned earlier before we started that both of those are in court. One is a lawyer, one's in the jury pool. They're not plaintiffs or defendants. Just want to make sure you know that. So as soon as they get, I know that Drew has already texted me and he's in the jury pool and they're drawing names out now, so I'm not sure he's going to make it. So I'll go over his part later, but I think you're probably tired of hearing me talk. And I know that Carrie Burton is online. So we're going to let Carrie take over next, and Carrie is going to talk about the annual fund and some of the processes that he uses. Now, here's the important thing about Carrie. He's from the Low Country Beaufort Club. They are always one of the top giving clubs in our district. And Terry's he's been the foundation chair for quite some time, and he's got all the ins and outs. So Carrie's gonna go over some best practices that he uses in the Low Country Beaufort Rotary Club. Carrie, you wanna take it away?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Carrie Bunton with the Low Country Beaufort Club, like Paula said. Happy to be here with you this morning. I'm gonna try to share this screen now, and we'll see if that works. How's that? Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about how to send your contributions in, but first I want to do a little 2-minute shameless plug for our club, because we are generally near the top. When I took over 2014, we averaged about $311 per capita. We were in 9th place in the district. And I told the board we could do better. I wasn't sure how we could do better, but I knew we could do better. The next year we jumped up $400, a 4-star club, and we were in 5th place district-wide. Next year we climbed a little bit more, jumped into 3rd place. You see 2nd place in 2017 to 2018, we had a fantastic year, but somebody who still was better than us. Again, 2018 to 19, 454, and 2019, 2020, $456 per capita. So our club is not a wealthy club, but we're a generous club. And we take a lot of pride in giving to the foundation, and in particular to the annual fund, because that money does come back to us in big numbers. And just a minute or two on how do we do it. Rotary asked us to do at least 1 meeting dedicated to promoting the Rotary Foundation. We do 3 a year at least. 1 dedicated to polio, but 2 others dedicated either to a foundation project or just the foundation in general. Throughout the year, we do a minute every once in a while talking about a Rotary project at one of our meetings to keep the Rotary Foundation in the front of people's minds. We recognize our members when they earn a Paul Harris Fellow Award and when they earn multiple Paul Harris Fellows, when they get the multiple pins. We bring them up in front at the podium and go ahead and give them their pin right there in front of their members. As much as people say they like to keep it low key, people love to get recognized like that. So we do that. Over time, some of those members become major donors. We bring them back in front of the club. Again, recognize them, and also reminds people that this is a gift to the foundation that brought them there. We also have a significant number of recognition points within our club and from our members. So we recognize community leaders if they've done something that we think is significant and in line with the goals and ideals of Rotary. One of the best ones we ever did was we had a Christmas party, and we invited our Interact advisor and surprised our Interact advisor with the Paul Harris Fellow Award. Very, very meaningful. It was in front of a lot of our members. Something very good to do, very simple to do. While we're talking about those Paul Harris Fellow Awards, what we have found out is if you will go to the store and buy a inexpensive frame that certificate, our members will hang them up on the wall. If you give them that certificate in the little paper that it comes folded up in, they'll tuck it away and put it somewhere else. But frame the certificate, you can get those frames at Walmart for $5 or $10. We promote giving above the minimum. That, you know, we always say sustaining member club is $100 per member, and we do that with the club match. We match their first $50. So if they donate 100, club matches 50 from some of our fundraising money. An important way to be a high achieving club and annual fund is also the Paul Harris Society donors. We have 7 currently in a club of about 35 members. We were at 9. We had 1 member pass away and 1 member moved to Texas. A big success item for us is to designate a percentage of our net fundraising dollars to the Rotary Foundation Annual Fund. So we started with 5%, went to 10. We're now trying to do 15% of our net giving to the Rotary Foundation Annual Fund. Another way is to come up with ways to make it fun to give. We play a game called First World Problems to promote Polio Plus. Like, Paula, if your barista didn't remember your Starbucks order, you had to repeat it to them even though you're there every week, that's a first world problem. So kick in $1, kick in $5, whatever. If you have a special anniversary, one of those with a round number at the end, we encourage people to donate that to Rotary Foundation or Cart Fund, something of their choosing. We get a lot of foundation money that way. There's a short one on what we do to be successful. Let's see if I can navigate to another screen of how we do it. Whoops. Sorry about this, y'all. It's going to take me just a minute to get there. How's that? Okay, sending your foundation money in, there's a few little tips and tricks. I made this up for some other clubs that were having trouble getting their foundation contributions in. So there's a couple of forms you need. Form 123 is the main one for an individual contribution or a club contribution. You log into Rotary, myrotary.org, and hover your mouse over it. Let's see if we can get this to work. May not be able to do that right now. Anyhow, you hover over Manage once you're logged in, then drop down to Club and District Administration, then move your cursor to the right and click Reports. Once you choose Reports, you'll see this is a piece of the screen you'll see, and you choose Mail Your Contribution. Once you choose Mail Your Contribution, you get this little screen. They used to have pre-populated data pop into these two Adobe Forms, these PDF documents. The pre-populated links are not working right now. It would add information from your club and from your club members. Right now, that's not working. It's a great form when it's working. It hasn't worked for 6 months though. So right now, you choose the blank form. It's a fillable form, so you can type it in. Looks like this. You put in every section, the donor's information, the designated purpose. We're talking about annual fund, so you don't want to check that. An interesting thing, if you don't check anything, it defaults to annual fund. And if you omit it for another purpose, you have up to 60 days, contact the support center to get that changed. The amount, the currency, check and the check number, shipping information if there's any recognition. If this is from a member and they're going to qualify for our Paul Harris Fellow Award, get that sent to you, put your information in there at the bottom, and sign it. Go over that twice, so before you mail it, make sure it's in there. It'll go real well. Now, if you have contributions from multiple members, there's the multiple donor form. That's Form 094. And it looks something like this. I know that's kind of small on your screen, but it's very similar. It's a fillable form, but you have to know the Rotarian's name in the Rotary International database, as well as their Rotary ID number. So I don't use that part of it. I use the top part of it. And then right across the bottom where it has the room for the names and ID numbers and the amount, I put in the words in large print, see attached list. And I go onto the district database, log in, because they do have a link that works. Log into the district database, 7770.org. Click on the My Club icon, and then click on Reports. And I realize I'm going through this pretty fast. It'll be available to any of you that need help at the end. But click on Reports. You'll get a list of reports. The one you want is Rotary Foundation Transmittal, and that is 2.10. Got it highlighted here on the screen. You choose the type of members you want included on the report. And then once you've made that choice, you go up to the upper right section of the web page and click whether you want it in Word or Excel format. I always choose Word. It's pretty easy to work with. You get a report that looks like this in Microsoft Word. And you can easily fill in the individual amounts for your Rotarians. You'll see their IDs are already in place. And you fill in the amount for each Rotarian and then the total amount at the bottom. So in short, I attach page 1 of the Rotary International multiple donor form and page 1 of the district form with names and ID numbers. Make a copy of that, put it in your envelope with your check or checks, and send it off. As a note, we had one issue in the last 5 years of having a problem at International, and that was the one time when our president instructed our treasurer to send a check in, and he sent the check in with no paperwork. It took me 5 months to fix that with Rotary International, so don't do it. Always send in the paperwork. If you've got any questions, my email is right there at the bottom. My phone number is right there as well. You can look me up on district email also. Get in touch with me about that. Do we have time for questions if anybody has a question? I know I'm going to do that a little bit fast.
No, I think you're good. Let's see if you've got any questions. One question was about, can we get copies of the instructions you just went over?
Sure. Sure. And I think you had that, Paula. Did I send that to you on email a few weeks ago? Maybe Alex sent it to you.
Yeah, send that to me and we will send it out to our president-elects and our foundation chairs. That's an excellent study.
And we can also put it on DAC-DB under Be a Vibrant Club.
Yes,
Okay.
great. Yes. And I can also add it to the website. We have a tab just on the website for foundation information. And those are questions we get all the time. So I really appreciate that. And I must apologize for using the wrong name, Carrie Bunton. I had the R down instead of the N.
All right. Spell check always does that to people when they type.
I'm serious. Thank you so much. Any other questions from our audience about Terry's presentation? Okay, Terry, if you would undo your share.
Okay.
Helpful. And I think that there she is. Allison is in the room. Yay. Allison Allison Schuler is an attorney in Kingstree, and she is the current president of the Kingstree Club. And I feel it is very, very important for us to share with our members how funds are being used, specific funds are being used, foundation funds that are being used. And as you know, because of COVID-19, the foundation made a special stipulation that the district grants that clubs had, they could be reallocated to for COVID-19 expenses. And that's true this year, last year, at the end of last year, and this year. However, you need to contact me about if you're going to do something different than what you applied for. So the Kingstree Club did that. And because a lot of clubs were not able to do the projects that they had originally planned because of the pandemic. So the Kingstree Club did do that. And I've asked Allison, it was a little bit different. We didn't have anybody else in the district who did this kind of project. And so I asked Allison if she would tell you how they redirected the their district grant funds to fill a need in relationship to COVID-19 in their town. So Allison, if you would unmute and let us know what your Kingstree Club did.
Hey, it's actually Mandy Schuler, but you're good. It's okay. I answer to anything. The Kingstree Rotary Club used their district fund grant to help our local hospital and get upfitted to treat COVID patients. In 2015, our hospital was severely damaged by the devastating flood that came through in October, and it damaged the hospital to an extent to where it could not operate in its current facility. So the hospital had to reopen in a modular unit, and it was not upfitted in a way to treat patients that had COVID in a way that was safe for the staff. They did not have negative pressure rooms. They did not have partition doors to keep the air from circulating in that patient room out into the hospital. So the hospital had a real need to, one, put up partition doors for the ICU unit rooms. So the hospital started a campaign to raise the funds for not only those doors, but to also purchase the supplies that were needed to treat COVID patients. And those supplies were the ventilator that they purchased and some additional PPE. The cost of PPE went through the roof. The cost of masks were atrocious, and our hospital just didn't have the funding to do that. So our grant came in especially handy to help the hospital get those 3 things in place to be able to treat patients and treat them in a way that the CDC was comfortable. They were super appreciative of it. They, in that campaign, they also raised additional funds. So we weren't the only donor, but our grant went towards the purchase of a ventilator, and it covered half of that cost. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that you have or give any further explanation.
Any questions for Mandy? Again, I'm like overload on the right names today.
You are fine.
Anybody have a question? Mandy, you go ahead.
I will say that whenever Rotary came out with the change in the guideline about what we could do differently with the funds, as our community came together, and we felt like we put it at the place that was most needed. And so if you ask around and you ask your community members what they think the biggest need in their community is, they will tell you. And it was a unanimous call from our club to help the hospital, especially during such a time of need.
That's a great point, Mandy, about asking the community what they need. And I think Audley went over that too, in terms of asking your members, but you can also go to your community, which is also a great idea to recruit new members and also help your community and raise funds for the annual fund and the Rotary Foundation.
We were able to get, Rotary was covered in the newspaper, our local newspaper, for our donation as well. So it did help publicity-wise for our club.
That is fantastic news. And could you send me that? I would like to see that article. If you get the newspaper, we might want to put that in our foundation quarterly.
I will.
I don't think we've put that in there. We really would like to add that.
Sure.
Great. Oh, we're getting lots of ideas today. Thank you so much, Mandy. I know you are still working today and
coming to you from my car. I'm sorry to throw you off schedule, but thank you for working with me.
It worked out great. We all have to work. So we appreciate your taking time to do that today. Thank you very much. Okay. Let me just, before I forget, I want to mention too that I've talked to the foundation, and if there are district grant projects that will take place in Rotary year 21-22, this one coming up, you can use those funds for COVID-19 expenses. The same rules follow. You have to have receipts for everything. If it's a donation, you need to get the charity that you're making that donation to write your receipt. So just for your information. Now, next up is going to be, I'm going to get this name right, Sandy Brooks.
Are you on mute?
No.
So, Sandy, take it away for Global Scholars.
Thank you. I'm going to just take a second to share my screen. And I want to let you know that we are in the process of identifying the Global Scholars for Bob Gross's year in 22-23. The applications are coming into our clubs. They will be presented to me and the committee July 1st, and we're going to have the interviews via Zoom again this year. Those interviews will be in August, a little reception Zoom on the 20th in the evening, and the interviews themselves on Saturday, August 21st. These are the two candidates that we are sending out this year as Paul's candidates. Emily is a graduate of the University of South Carolina, and she has chosen to obtain a master's in public health at the University of Ghana in Accra, Ghana. So she's going to pursue that and is in the family and reproductive health pathway. She goes out in the fall. The next recipient was Jared Dawson. He's a graduate from also the University of South Carolina, and he is completing a master's degree in public health, concentrating on epidemiology and biostatistics at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. Now, he will not be going out until February of 2022, but that's still part of the Rotary year, so he will be getting his grant and going out to Africa in 2022. Hopefully things will be a lot better by 2022, but a couple of our scholars have had some issues with the COVID, and some continued to get their degrees online. One of them could not and had to drop out. Hopefully we'll be able to continue that degree in a year or so. But so if you have any questions about global grants, please email me, let me know. And I've had some emails already from people, and I've provided some information. And I will continue to provide some information to anyone that needs it. And there are documents on DACDB that you can use for your scholars that they are going to present you with an application, and then you just have to endorse them. So thank you very much.
When is that application due?
July 1st.
Okay,
To me.
Okay. So everybody knows how to get in touch with
I will put my email in the chat.
Okay, great. And that's coming up. So I want to make sure of that.
Yes.
Questions for Sandy?
Sandy,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes.
We had a former scholar who also went to the University of Accra. And so if you will connect that young lady with me, I have a dear friend who served on the RI board with me, and he's a lawyer there, and he will be her mentor. He'll
Great.
help her in all kinds of ways. So please connect me to her so I can get her connected there. That's a great university. I enjoyed visiting it. So we have a good connection there, and I'm happy she's going.
I will forward your information and copy you today.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
From Drew Hanson, who is the district grants chair, who's on jury duty. Here are some things that he asked me to remind you of. The applications are coming in. If you haven't put your application in, your club hasn't, go ahead and send it to Drew. The applications that are being reviewed first are those that have the MOU in. So most of you know the answer to that. Closing reports. Your closing report is due within 30 days of the closing date. So I doubt there are many of you out there that haven't either come close. I mean, we're almost in June, so those should be flowing in. Just follow up on that. We talked about COVID. Okay, I think we've got that part covered. Next, I want to talk a little bit. Deborah Burt, who is our Paul Harris Society chair, is out of town. and was not able to be here today, but she did send me 3 slides that she has used, and I want to go over those with you real quickly. Again, this all relates to being on my Rotary. It is super, super important that you presidents get your foundation chairs on my Rotary, because they cannot access any of this if they're not there. Now, this slide, the website has changed slightly from this slide, but basically it's the same. Once you sign in, you go to the foundation, and there are numerous reports there. What I'm going to talk to you about now is strictly for the Paul Harris Society, which is an extraordinarily important fundraising tool that we do have. Okay. Okay, Paula. There we go. All right, it's a very important tool we have. This slide is one of the reports. It is actually the Paul Harris Society report that you can get. Of course, the names are blurred out. But what I want to draw your attention to is the columns there on the right side. You can see this one, Paul Harris Society members. That gives you who is in your club. Right now is a good time to even start this. Pull this up, look at this year. Then you'll see right here, who is Paul Harris eligible. What you want to see there, that says year 2019, 2020. What you want to see there is year 2021. That's the current Rotary year. If there's not a date there, it means they have not given, they are not members of the Paul Harris Society. Now, it could be they're doing a Rotary Direct, and they are, maybe the last contributions just haven't come in. But have your clubs check with their Paul Harris Society members. It's very important, and it's one of the best fundraising tools we have for the annual fund. And these reports are very good. So we'd ask that you follow up. Are they on Rotary Direct? Paul Harris Society members on Rotary Direct, it's an automatic thing. They can give set it up for once a year, quarterly, monthly, however they want to set it up. It's a super way to get that money coming in on a regular basis. So have your foundation chair, your president-elect, follow up with those for this year and put this on your calendar for next year. There's also the donor history report. You can't get your personal report unless you're signed into my Rotary. And this will show you exactly what your giving levels are. And that's, I think a lot of people would like to see that. They just don't know about it. Now, here's your contacts. If you have questions about the Paul Harris Society, on the bottom there, you see Clinton Dunn. Clinton's a member of the Rotary Club of Mount Pleasant. Contact him either by email or telephone. He will become the Paul Harris Society chair as of July 1. Alice Howard continues as our annual fund chair. And so contact her if you have additional questions. And then of course, you can always contact me. So that's a little bit about, that's a quick run through on the Paul Harris Society. And we're running short on time, so I'm going to share this one last thing here. This is the calendar, your president-elect, actually your president, soon to be president's calendar. And I'm going to send this out to you, but this gives you the dates that things are due. The one thing that is on there that I really want to save the date for September 17th. September 17th this year, which will be our foundation seminar. We'll be recognizing our leaders for this Rotary year, and we'll be handing out checks. So you want to be there to get your check and other vital information. So that's kind of a quick down and dirty on the foundation. I would encourage you to give us a call. We're here to help you. And we will be doing some training sessions throughout the year with you in smaller groups so that we can have a little bit more interaction and questions. Are there any questions in this session as we close out for a break? Okay, George?